Thomas Faed was the third son of James and Mary Faed and was born at Barlay Mill on the 8th of June 1826. He showed his interest in art from a very young age, joining John in his improvised studio at the mill. He painted his first oil painting at 12 on his mother's apron, nabbed from the washing line, using paints he had ground himself. Mary Faed was not impressed though, and Thomas was duly punished for the offence. It now resides in the Glasgow Museum's Resource Centre. He often played truant from Girton School to go and sketch in the quarry instead, and from the outset he liked to populate his paintings with local folk as models, usually the young women. His preference for female models was to continue throughout his career. Thomas's father was not happy for Thomas to follow John into a career in art, so he arranged for Thomas to be apprenticed at Kilpatrick's on King Street in Castle Douglas as a draper when he was 16. He stayed there for a year, doodling on the papers on the counter. Following their father's death when Thomas was only 17, he left for Edinburgh to work for John painting miniatures. John quickly saw that painting miniatures was not entirely satisfying to Thomas's burgeoning talent, so he arranged for his younger brother to attend the Trustees' Academy. According to his other brother, James, a more ardent worker at the Academy than he hardly existed. Thomas attended every class and won prizes for the effort. He had his first work exhibited at the Royal Scottish Academy at the age of 18, the Old English Baron, which was a watercolour. He sold his first painting for £12, reading the Bible, to Captain Arkwright, who then immediately commissioned Thorn in the Foot from Thomas for £60. He also bought The Keeper's Favourites for £40. Thomas was so pleased he gifted Captain Arkwright Venus and Cupid too. This is now also in the Glasgow Museum's Resource Centre. Thomas soon figured out that his strength was in painting scenes of rural life. When his painting based on Walter Scott's The Heart of Midlothian won the Haywood Gold Medal in Manchester, he decided to illustrate more of Scott's novels. He largely painted Scott's heroines, including Meg Merrilies from Guy Mannering, a novel based on tales of the Solway smugglers. Soon he was selling many paintings to galleries in London and became an associate of the Royal Scottish Academy at the age of 23 in 1849, after having already had 23 paintings hung there. His scenes of rural Scottish life seemed to have a lot of appeal to Victorian tastes. Glowing reviews followed and flowing sales. In 1851 he had his first picture hung at the Royal Academy in London, and a year later he moved to the city, where he married Frances Mary Rance in that same year. In 1854 he painted probably his most successful painting, The Mitherless Bairn, allegedly based on an incident that happened here during his childhood at Barlay Mill. He was to return to its country kitchen theme many times during his career. There was some controversy when the painting later came up for auction at Christie's in London. A rumour was circulated that it was not the real painting and that the real painting was in a private collection in America. While this may or may not have depressed the sale price, which was £945, it certainly upset Thomas, prompting him to write an angry letter to an American journal about it. The picture was bought by the government of Victoria in Australia, where it remains. A regular motif in his kitchen scenes is a portrait of Robert Burns hung somewhere. He was greatly inspired by Burns and by poetry in general, even penning his own. With his penchant for painting the rural poor, he was sometimes compared to Burns. Though he often returned to Scotland to fish and hunt, he would never return permanently. This was because of his duties with the Royal Academy, including taking turns in teaching students. He was criticised for his instruction to them to go out into the streets and draw the poor. Art was supposed to be escapist, apparently. By 1893, his eyesight was beginning to fail him, and at 67, he was forced to retire from professional painting. Thomas died suddenly at the age of 74 on the 17th of August 1900 and was buried in London.